Welcome back, everybody, and it's on to Series 8. We've made it, folks. Series 8 of Red Dwarf. I'm your host, Dr. John, and welcome to the Not Funny Guys Presents Red Dwarf Rewatch. So there are some changes we need to note. First of all, we're getting Chris Berry as Rimmer back, and Norman Lovett is back as Holly. But there has been some change-ups since Doug Naylor decided to return the series to sort of more of its original roots. He was writing scripts, and in this choice, he decided to resurrect the entire crew of Red Dwarf, who we barely saw, really. Along with, of course, Holly, and like I said, Chris Berry as Rimmer. So the series itself returned to being videotaped in front of a live studio audience as well. And the episode does end, or the series does end on a cliffhanger that won't be resolved for 10 whole years with Red Dwarf back to Earth. So, yeah. Wow, what a wait. And also, this is at this point, they've achieved 52 total episodes. It's in a position for international syndication. And the prospect of feature-length film increase. So we're still working on that idea of will there not be a Red Dwarf film, for which we are still sitting around going. So let's talk about this one. Episode 1, Back to Red Dwarf, Part 1, directed by Ed By, written by Doug Naylor. Released on the 18th of February, 1999. So let's get into a summary. So the nanobots have rebuilt Red Dwarf to its original design plans, like we saw at the end of last season with Nanarchy. In effect, the fresh new Red Dwarf is better than the old version, in fact. The nanobots deconstructed in the first place, the one they deconstructed, they now built it back, more streamlined, containing more advanced technology, which was not included the first time round due to budget cutbacks. So this is like the super, all the gadgets and gizmos versions before the JMC made cutbacks. After crashing Starbug in the docking bay, they discovered the nanobots have also resurrected, of course, the original crew of Red Dwarf, who were killed, of course, in the radioactive disaster 3 million years previously, and who apparently now have no memory of those events or events following it. Of course, they just literally have the events of whatever happened the moments before they died. Lister tries to persuade the newly resurrected Arnold Rimmer to help him escape so that he can track down the nanobots to corroborate his story. So he's in big trouble. But the only way for Lister to convince Rimmer is by helping Rimmer get promoted, using a disk of confidential files left in the crash wreckage of Starbug. And so this will be kind of an ongoing one here. So these first 3 episodes kind of all roll into each other. So let's break it down. So we open with a very fun new intro. Total chaos, dinosaurs, claymation, and explosions. Oh my. We open on Red Dwarf in a place we've never seen before. We find Lister and Rimmer wearing what look to be like matching jumpsuits. He's not a hologram, and they're bunked up. A little bit looks like a prison. In fact, it is a prison. Lister is trying to get Rimmer's attention with Gossip, the Gossip magazine, basically. Rimmer reading books. He's very annoyed. He's not speaking. He gets up. He moves to a table. He's very annoyed, and Lister is trying to provoke him. He continues to annoy Rimmer. He wants his attentions, not talking to him. He finally, it's like they've gone back to square one. This is Rimmer and Lister as we found them all the way back in Series 1, Episode 1. So back to basics. Lister wants to get him to talk. Continues. He starts telling a story about stealing money from Rimmer back in the day just so he could get a pint. Nothing. He then goes on to talk about Yvonne Magruder. We have her mentioned again. I lost count of my track, but I think this is like the third, maybe 4th time we mentioned her. Lister claims that he went out with her. He gets really graphic about having, intimate relations with her. Finally breaks Rimmer. He screams at him. No idea how we've gotten here, and then we pull away to a title card that says 3 days earlier. Now we see the final scenes of Series 7, where the ship came in, the main ship was too big, their ship was too small, but apparently, just like with Lister's body, which we now seem to have shrunk back down to a more normal size, the Red Dwarf ship is itself also shrinking. As they're flying through it, through the ducts, Holly comes on. He offers to play a game of charades if it'll help them out. They're in full panic because now they're flying through the ship, trying to avoid having a massive accident. Holly, of course, is being no helped. They fly past one rat in the air ducts before flying the butt of another one. Finally get out of it, pull back, get out of it, leave the ducts, and then crash land in the bay. All the rest of the ship gets destroyed except for the cockpit module. They get out of Starbug and most of it explodes. Now at this moment they still think they're alone until they are met by a hazmat crew who contains Shelby and Chen, two of Lister's old drinking mates, and he's super psyched to see them. The Red Dwarf crew has been brought back by the nanobots. He's like asking about Peterson, and Peterson's apparently off getting drunk. Dave is having this conversation, and he's very happy until the captain confronts him, and he's placed under arrest for stealing a Starbug and not having a license to pilot one. Then we see them back in the old quarters again. It's all wonderful nostalgia. Put under basically bunk arrest with a little digital arm bracelet. We now discover that, and when the captain is talking, that there's apparently a floor 13 where there was a secret brig that was classified and hidden. It turns out that this will probably end up where they were going. Will they end up if they're found guilty? It's called the Tank. There's an inmate population of about 400 being taken originally to Adelphi 12. Rimmer then walks in. I think maybe Holly revealed that one. I can't remember. I spent a couple days since I watched the episode. My bad. But Rimmer walks in now, and he's resurrected and smug as ever. The crew has no realization that they die and they've been resurrected. And his story basically just sounds like it's crazy every time he tries to tell it. Debating evidence for why the nano interference, even how did this happen. The nanos took off, by the way, as well. And Lister then desperately tries to get Rimmer to help him gather evidence. Meanwhile, we find Christine, Kachansky, and Crichton also under arrest, and then they start having some sort of weird debate about whether the nanobots actually helped them out, like doing that. And when Kachansky mentions, well, it brought you to me, Crichton throws down his list. Like I said, the ship is now bigger than it ever was before, and the captain and Karen, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, that's her first name, are having this conversation about this. And then they go and they're doing tests on the cat, because he's basically an alien life form. He's not human. His heartbeat and pulse have a rhythm. I love that part. Rimmer and Lister are now dressed in their dress uniforms, waiting for a court-martial, basically. Rimmer recycling old grievances that Lister seems to have forgotten. Lister trying to convince Rimmer that he's changed. Years for him. Weeks for Rimmer. This time differential. Lister offers to help Rimmer become an officer. He's seen all the confidential files. It tempts Rimmer. It's a deal. He's as weaselly as he ever was. He will help Lister escape, but he wants the information. He wants to get promoted first. So they get this deal. Crichton, meanwhile, is seeing the ship's counselor. Now, this is one of my favorite. Here's the interesting thing about Crichton. Crichton exists in a time when they found him, they were 3 million years in the future. He comes from the year 2340, which is in the future from what the original Red Dwarf, after they died. Crichton explains the events of how he was found by them. It sounds crazy. And one of my favorite things about this, and he even talks about the nanobots, which is technology technically beyond the Red Dwarf crew at this time. Counselor keeps asking Crichton if his chair is screwed down. This is a wonderful bit. I swear. Crichton at one point confesses that Lister helped him break his programming, lie to a modest example and so forth, shows off his practiced emotions, shows off anger by accidentally smashing the counselor's hand. Without Mr. Lister, Crichton says, I'd probably be normal. He's labeled to be restored to his factory settings, which is interesting because they don't actually have the factory settings, but who cares? Finally, we see Rimmer going to Starbug wreckage. He finds the disk of information. He also finds the luck viruses, particularly sexual magnetism and luck. The positive viruses. He then takes a swig of the sexual magnetism, and as he's walking off away from the hangar bay, all the women are noticing him. And that is when we go to be continued. So, next time we will pick back up with Back to Red Dwarf Part 2. However, in the meantime, if you're seeing this and you're liking this, we're going to keep going to the end here. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, all those fun things. Particularly write to us, because this isn't our only product here at Not Funny Guys. You can write us, particularly emails. I make Casey read them, so he's one of the other Not Funny Guys, but you can make him suffer. I'm sure he'll give them back to me word for word, so don't be afraid to cuss. But you can write us at notfunnyguys.offthereels@gmail.com, which you can find in the description below and in the ticker as well. You can check those things out, write to us. Check out our socials where we promote most of our stuff. But if you want to see some other products by the Not Funny Guys, you can check out our main podcast, Not Funny Guys Presents Off the Reels, where we talk about movies. So here on the YouTube, we do television shows. Over there, we do movie. We're currently going to be uploading soon our Christmas special. I don't want to talk about it. I'll let that be a surprise. But it's interrupting our current run on the Jurassic Park films. We made it through the first trilogy. So we made it through Jurassic Park, Jurassic Lost World, Jurassic Park, and Jurassic Park 3. And after that, leading into the New Year's, we will go through the other 4 films in the whole series. And then we'll be moving on to something else. But if that's not your cup of tea, you can always check out our other podcast featuring my co-hosts, Casey and Eric. They have their podcast, Not Funny Guys, Wrestling with the Horror of It All, where they talk about pro wrestling, mainly WWE, and horror films. I don't know how much longer they're doing that one, but they've been chugging through that one this year. All the films they did in October alone are crazy. And if that's not your cup of tea, we still have one more. We have Not Funny Guys Presents Thinking About Thinking, where I, Dr. John, and my co-host, our Not Funny gal, Dr. Kristen, talk about all kinds of stuff. Culture, education, writing, a little bit more intellectual, but also more discussion based. We have a lot of fun. We have our last episode of season 1 up now, and we will resume that's it with season 2 come the new year. So you should check out our back catalog. We have a lot of fun, a lot of talking about AI and all kinds of fun little niches in there. It ranges from the everyday kind of interesting to the, shall we say, esoteric. But until next time, don't be a smeghead. Keep it not funny, and I'll see you then. And just wait till you see the flourish he's added when we get back in part 2.